everyone. We want to welcome you today to the We Are Flora Pearl podcast. I am your host, Latasha J. Humphrey, founder of the Flora Pearl Foundation, Incorporated. I am so super excited about this podcast today. But before we get started, we want to let our audience know that this podcast is being brought to you by the Flora Pearl Foundation, where our vision is bridging the gap, building a legacy. Our mission is that we are a 501c3, community-focused nonprofit mentoring organization, building healthy relationships and partnerships between women and girls through education, community service, networking, unification, and career planning. Our inspiration is Flora Pearl Humphrey. She was my paternal grandmother, and although she passed away in 2001 of a massive heart attack, what she taught me and my family was about faith, family, and community. And that is where I draw my inspiration from. Now, audience, I have the pleasure of introducing to you this beautiful gem who I met initially through her sister, Courtney. Needless to say, Courtney is the president of our Junior Board of Advisors, and she introduced us at one of our Flora Pearl Inspires networking events, where our beautiful guest was actually one of our MUA models that day. This young woman has a sweet spirit, and I am grateful to know her and look forward to getting to know her even more as we continue to create and build alliances. So without further ado, I present to you Amber DuPree. Hi, Amber. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I am awesome. It is such an honor to have you with us today. And if you would, just briefly go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
I'm Amber DuPree. I'm 27 years old, newly engaged. I went to I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, graduated from Homewood High School, went to college at Jacksonville State University, and I now work as a bankruptcy specialist at the Birmingham Waterworks.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, like I said, we're just so glad to have you with us today. And I'm going to put a little disclaimer in. I called Miss Amber. I touched base with her. I'll say that because she is one of our millennials. And so I definitely wanted the millennials to be able to represent even more on the podcast. And so I just want to give her a super shout out, just in public to really say thank you so much for agreeing to be with us and just being willing to share. So once again, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so the first topic, we'll go ahead and jump into the podcast. We want to talk about actually you being a millennial and having a voice. And so, I read somewhere once before where, and really talked to some different ladies as well who are millennials. And they were just saying, y'all get a lot of flack and some of it may be warranted. However, it's like, and being a part of the millennial group, it can be a challenge sometimes as it relates to being able to have a voice and sharing that. And so I wanted you to kind of talk first, yes, about being a millennial, but also about how important is it for you to have a voice?
Okay. Well, I experience this daily, as a matter of fact. I work with baby boomers. They challenge me daily because they're not, let me put it this way, they don't want to compromise with the way that I do things versus, instead of branching out and learning new ways of doing things, they're like, you need to do it this way. This is how we've been doing it for centuries. And I'm like, that's fine. I've never been one of those people to oppose a new way of learning something or just, learning anything at all. But I just feel like it's important for them to also accept the way that we learn things and the way that we do things, because we are the new generation that's going to take over, and, we're going to be the ones with the businesses. We're going to be the ones taking over these companies. A lot of our generation takes the initiative to be entrepreneurs. I think our generation is, what's the word? We're unapologetic, and we're not afraid. And I think that's what scares the generations, prior to us, because they are so used to a comfort zone, and we're just not afraid.
Yeah. Do you feel like some of the, I guess the critique or criticism, and maybe it could be, thought of as constructive. It depends on what side of the coin you're on, really. But do you feel like some of it is, where you're, and then you can say with the elders that they feel like you all just don't want to listen? Because I've heard that sometimes, or that, sometimes the elders feel as though you don't want to receive wisdom from them.
Yes, definitely. I personally, like I said, deal with this at my job, and I'm like a why person. Not because I'm disrespectful and I want to know why you're telling me to do something this way, or, I want to know why, because that's just how my brain is engineered. Like, I want to know why this car drives this way. I want to know why this operation runs this way. Like, that's just my train of thought. And I think a lot of millennials question beyond what, typically back in the day, you don't question your elders. You just do as you're told.
Yeah.
And we question things. And I don't think that, I get that why they take offense to it, but I think that with the way things have been going with our generation, it's just, like I said, one of those things that we need to all compromise on and be accepting of one another. Like you said, there are times when the criticism is constructive, and then there are other times when it's just someone who's closed-minded and doesn't want to give in. So.
Right. So if you had the opportunity to, you just on this stage and you could say, as a millennial woman, what you want people to know about your generation, what would you say?
I would say don't take us as, let me see. Like, I don't want them to be so intimidated by us. We are better with technology. We are, better equipped to handle things and work faster and multitask. And, that's not our fault. And I think a lot of times we get, the whole feeling of, well, you need to do it this way, or this is the way I prefer it to be done. But if our way is better, then that should just be okay, versus it being criticized. So I would tell everyone else to just be more accepting of the fact that we want to learn. We want to, be better. We want to, and they should allow us to be better. They should want the people coming behind them to be better than they were. But I would just basically ask or advise them to not be so intimidated by our hunger.
Okay. No, that's fair, and that's, that definitely is a great, piece. To me, is, I say, pearls of wisdom, to be able to say, but, just some information to give so that other generations can know. And like you said, not be afraid, but if you ask a why, you just really want to know why. Like, it's I'm not trying to, say you don't know what you're talking about. I just want to know so that I can do it to the best, and maybe you could bring something to the table. Yeah. If you know why you're doing something, then, okay, well, I may be able to help. Maybe we could do it more effective, more efficiently. So I definitely understand what you're saying with that. So absolutely. So you pretty much have put it out there.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, we're gonna segue into the topic as it relates to a support system. And so, Amber, when you hear the word support system, what does that mean to you? And do you believe that support systems are necessary, if you do believe that they're so?
So support system to me typically is, everyone deserves a support system, in my opinion. I feel like, we all have these ventures that we go on. We have phases and transitions through our life that we go through. And just to have a team of people that you can count on to, whether it's to vent, to express yourself, or whether it's you just want to cry, or, just anything that you might need, I feel like that's where your people come in. Like, you don't have anyone that you can call on and be like, girl, I'm a down under, just to get that motivation that you can't find within yourself, then it's going to be that your journey will be that much harder. So I'm not saying that there are probably some people who have done it without a support system. And when I say done it, they've made it to the point of life that they've always strived to get to. However, I feel that you definitely need one. And it doesn't have to be family because, sometimes your family won't be supportive of your dreams and goals. And I feel like when it comes to a support system, you just got to make sure that they're positive. They're open to listening to what it is that you feel in your heart and what it is you desire. And they just support you along the way, whether that, for whatever need that may be. But I think also with that support system, you have to be open to, constructive criticism. And, somebody might be like, hey, I don't think that's the route you need to take. So it's like, it's a give and take with it. But I definitely think you need it.
Okay. And basically, how do you believe we can create effective and efficient support systems, definitely and particularly for women and girls?
Well, honestly, that's something I don't have an answer to. And I say that because I personally have had plenty of conversations with some of my elders at my job, and it just all is based around, the next woman not helping the next woman get to where she needs to go, and, so forth. I honestly don't get why someone would hinder another person's opportunities or, not want to cheer the next person on, because what's meant for you is going to be for you. What God has for you is for you.
Yeah.
So nothing can get in the way of that. But I think a lot of people miss that they don't either they don't know, they're not aware, they're not in touch with God, or they just don't have that sense of faith to know that people can't hinder what is meant for you. Yeah. And so in turn, we don't support like we should. I think it starts at home, but it ultimately is something that you have to choose to do throughout your life, I guess, growing up. So.
Yeah. And I mean, even with that, like you were saying, I've never understood that. I've never understood not, like you said, celebrating someone else, because right. I'm like, you're doing you and I'm doing me. And your thing may be, whether even if it's similar, one thing I do know is that you can't beat me at being me.
Exactly. You have to know that you are unique. And what you have to offer, no one else can offer.
Right. And I just feel like even with that, sometimes too, it is where it's one or two things, that you could be either intimidated or inspired. And I just think that some people may choose to be intimidated, and then that leads to other negativity. That comes with it, because why not choose to be inspired? Why not say, she is killing the game? Right. This is, and I can celebrate that. I think is beautiful. And then let me be the best Latasha, I can be. So, I don't get it, even young or old. And I feel like that's why for me, I really serve as a bridge. Even when it comes to our elders and our young people, because I can relate to both of you, I can relate to your group as it relates to millennials, and then I also can relate to our elders in the baby boomer space. And I'm just like, I'm just like, I don't understand why it can't be, even after, or I think about this, the mentoring. That it should be where you're able to pull this person up. Like, everybody should be, you shouldn't want to stay in that position forever.
Wow, man. I'm in a situation like that now. My supervisor is going to retire within the next year. There's 3 other women in my department. One is retiring within the year. And so that leaves me and this other young lady who is, she's older than me. We both have the opportunity to bid for both jobs. And instead of sharing knowledge, she I can't show you how to do this process, just constantly puts it off. But when she asks me for my stuff, I'm so willing to teach her. I'm so willing to sit through a class and teach my whole department. And it just blows my mind that her being the age she is, she's old enough to be my mom. And that's no no shade or anything, but I'm just with that being said, I should be able to look up to you, not look at you sideways, because you can't, put aside your feeling of intimidation to mentor me or to help me get to where you are, because I'm nowhere near you where you are. Like, you have way more experience than I. Like, you know, but I'm learning to, you know, just not look to everyone, because everyone won't be able to be that person that you want them to be. So it's just a learning process altogether. But I definitely went through a phase where it kind of like shook me as a female growing up, especially now. I'm about to be 30 in 3 years. And I just can't imagine myself. I would never turn down a younger lady, you know, if I knew something. If I had knowledge to share, I'm not going to, you know, keep it to myself.
Right. And I just encourage you, you know, even with that. And, you know, just, I would say, you know, continue to do what you're doing. And just like you said, what God has for you is for you. And so you in this moment, I just say continue to do what you know is right. And then you just never know what's coming up next. You know,
Amen.
so I just I celebrate you already, you know, because whatever is next, I know it will be grand, because, you know, just with you having that attitude and just being so willing to just celebrate and to share and to bless others, good can only come next. So just be prepared for it. I'll say that. You're welcome. You're welcome. And we're going to move into the segment. It's called Culture Vibes. And so there are two topics I actually want you to touch on as it relates to that. It's kind of those topics that may be trending or dealing with pop culture. And so the first one is where Rihanna, she just released her line of makeup called Fenty Beauty. And it seems like it, you know, the foundations and different things like that is catering more towards women of color. And from what I've read, evidently Kylie Jenner, she made a post, and also on that same day that Fenty Beauty launched, Kylie Cosmetics began advertising a slew of new products. And I did read certain comments. Of course, some of it was, you know, why can't both, you know, women, why pit them against each other? Why can't they both shine? And then, of course, some others, they did feel like it was some shade, and it may have been more so Rihanna's fans that felt that way. But my question to you is, do you think it's coincidence or culture insensitivity?
I think it is culture insensitivity.
Okay.
Yes. And I say that because, okay, so both of them are, you know, in the beauty industry. They both, you know, have different lines. Kylie is more geared towards lip gloss. Rihanna is definitely more into fashion, but however, you know, this is new for her, which is why it's another reason why it was so big. And the fact that she catered to so many different shades, I think it was over 40, if not 40. You know, that was groundbreaking, and I think no one else has ever done such a thing where the shades, you know, match completely, you know, to so many different ethnicities. And so for her to come out and put, you know, just all of a sudden you want to show, hey, well, I have those shades to offer as well on the day of her release. Come on, like, you know, let her get her shine. Like, you'll have your day. But, you know, like, everything speaks for itself. Rihanna's line, from my understanding, sold out the first day. Let me not quote that. But something of her line, I'm not sure if it was the what particular product.
Okay.
But she had great numbers her first day, so it said enough in itself.
Right,
so like I say, what's meant for you is meant for you. So Kylie still didn't steal her shine, and, you know.
It is what it is. Look, right. And scene. Look, it's like, and we'll just leave that right there. It is what it is. Okay.
Right.
Well, the next topic is actually, unfortunately, it's on a sadder note, where the young lady from Chicago, who's 19 years old, Kanika Jenkins, you know, she was found dead in the hotel freezer over the weekend. And so, her family basically, they're pressing for answers, and it's just a lot of different stuff, as it relates to the friends, leaving her, having her cell phone, having the truck keys of the car that she actually was driving. And then, they said it possibly was a rape situation. It was, some basically foul play going on. And so I just kind of wanted to get your take on that with what you've heard and just your thoughts on that particular topic.
Okay, so let me say this. I did recently read a new article, and they basically were saying that she did, in fact, walk into the freezer alone and didn't look forced. However, since that's new, I'm going to take that piece out and give you my perspective on what I thought before. So my first thought was those weren't her friends.
Okay.
I'm probably 100% sure that her parents probably at one point in time said, hey, those aren't your friends. Because, we can never go without your mom or your grandparent, whoever your, whoever it is your guardian is. They have no qualms about saying, hey, that ain't your friend.
Uh-huh.
I know I've gone through that personally, and no matter how much you didn't want to believe that, it always comes a time when that, it's proven, and you're like, dang, my mama was right about that girl, or, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, I just think it's so important for parents to be aware of who their children are hanging out with, be close to your child enough to where they can talk to you. Because, you go through phases in life, especially as a young girl, where you might not have friends. Your friends might bully you. They might not like you today. Little girls, especially now in the new world, I feel it's so much more harsh than it was when I was growing up or you were growing up. Like, you have to literally be in the know of what's going on.
Right.
And so that's first. And then secondly, God bless. I hope she didn't get raped, but I know I heard two different stories. That's sad. I just think that a lot of people were focused on just the friends, but I think as families, especially in Black America, we have to do so much better with raising our boys.
Yes,
there should be no. The weight that we put on females is so much heavier than we do on the guys.
Yeah.
And, I get society puts so much more weight on a guy. But we have to be sensitive to what both of them have to deal with growing up. However, we have to also prepare them for what they're going to deal with. So it's like you can't really censor them from what it is that's out there in the world without being you have to basically be uncensored as a parent as far as your conversations that you have. I think that's what I'm trying to say. You can't be their friend one minute and then want to be their parent and tell them, hey, this is how you treat a woman, or this is you have to really be aware of how you treat a woman as far as the father goes in front of your son or even your daughter. They're watching the parents, as to how they're supposed to be accepted or treated, and also how they treat others. And so I feel like it's a job within both the females and the males. The females need to know, hey, you're pretty, so you don't have to hear that from every other guy and be so, excited to do whatever it is he wants you to do just because he told you that you're pretty. We have to compliment our little girls more. I think it's just so much more. I could go on and on, but basically, I think the foundation that we start at home needs to be rechecked. It needs to be rebuilt. And we need to just focus more on that.
Yeah. No, it's amazing, even with you touching on that as it relates to both, the boys and the girls, because for some reason, we're teaching the girls, okay, you save yourself. This is what you're supposed to be, as a woman, you're supposed to be a lady. You're supposed to be this. And then on the other side with the boys, who else are they dealing? If you're telling the boys, because then on their side, in a lot of ways, they're being taught, get as many girls as you can. You don't need to settle down. You need to whatever. But who's dating who then? So if you're teaching the girls to wait, but the boys, they're doing whatever, who are they? Who are you preparing who for?
Right.
You know, so she's supposed to just
between a good girl and a
accept.
bad girl.
Yeah. It's like she's supposed to accept whatever, but you want her to be so pure, you know.
Right.
But you could be out there doing whatever with whoever, and I should be happy that you want me, you know. So
Right.
it's really, you know, just, oh my goodness. But just like you said, it starts at home, and so you can't, I guess you can't control what's going on outside of the home, but we as a culture, even to me, we have to do better. You know, just in how we, you know, what we're putting out there, whether it's the music or, you know, whatever, the shows, the whatever. But it goes back to home. And if they're not teaching you a certain way, then you're going to kind of get whatever, you know, if it's not some standards or not some boundaries or rules or guidelines, you know, that you have to follow, you're kind of going to fall into
whatever your friends are doing.
Right. And that's true. So, you know, it definitely is an unfortunate situation. I, you know, continue to keep the family, you know, lifted in prayer, because that's a lot, especially with our mom. You know, that's something to deal with, whether she walked in it or not. You know, the fact of the matter is you no longer have her, and it's always still possibly going to be those unanswered questions that she may not be at peace with ever. I don't know, you know, but I would pray she does, you know, definitely that God gives her comfort and peace, and just, you know, the rest of the family as well. So I do really pray that justice is served, though, that whatever the situation, if it was foul play, that whomever did it, that, you know, they basically be brought to justice. So
I likewise, I've read the same thing.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we're going to segue into the topic as it relates to the weight and singleness. And so I do want to congratulate you once again in becoming, basically in being engaged. So you're welcome. You're almost close to your special time. Now, when is your day? When is your special day?
June 2nd, 2018.
Oh, okay. So yes, ma'am. And so I wanted you to kind of talk about, you know, being a single woman, and how's your experience been, you know, before you got to being engaged?
Okay, so dating nowadays is horrible.
Oh my.
Everyone depends on social media. There is no the thrill of no one chases you or pursues you, rather.
Wow.
I hear about a lot of my friends that they're like, girl, I don't know what else to do. Like, you know, they're talking to these guys and they're having to read in between the lines. Like, there's no, you know, communication. You know, like, everyone is on social media putting up these memes, wanting you to get it.
Oh,
but
wow.
It's like there is nothing to get. For me, it was like, for a while, I was like dating this guy casually, and at a point, like, I was accepting that, you know, sad enough, because there was just nothing else out there. I wasn't looking. I'm not one of those females that's like, oh, I'm just gonna go out here and find me a man. Like, I'm going to let the guy pursue me. So if there's no one checking for me, then I'm just going to be single.
Right.
And so for that long time, the guys that I was dating, we were friends. And it got to a point where it was so serious that he was, like, scared. You know, I was just kind of like, well, what are we going to do from here? I was willing to pursue it, and it fell flat. Now, given we didn't leave off on bad terms enough to where we see each other, we don't speak, but it was just dead, you know? And so for so long, I kind of was just content finding myself.
Okay.
And I think so many females get into this, either they're chasing the guy or chasing the idea of being with a guy that's no good for them, or they just do too much, like give too much of themselves without getting anything in return. And I just try to tell my friends, like, girl, find yourself, like, you know, improve on areas that you know that you need improvement on. And in the meantime, you know, somebody will see you. Somebody's going to recognize you. It's someone always paying attention, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. So just, like, I would encourage anyone who's single to focus on yourself. Like, focus on those relationships that you have with your friends and your family, and, like, you know, improve those.
Yeah.
Don't be out here searching.
Yeah. And that's what I said this on another episode, but I was talking about, you know, I had to get to that place even for me where, because at one point in time it was an idol, you know, becoming married. That was an idol for me. You know, I was just like, you know, that's what you're supposed to do next. You know, it's kind of like, oh, that's because that's what society says, or that's the pressure, or even you wanting it for yourself. But then I came to a place where I was just like, you know, singleness is not a holding cell for marriage. Like, it really is a time for you to enjoy, if you want to call it freedom or however. I mean, but I'm just like, it's a time to enjoy. I mean, I like having my whole bed.
Man, and let me touch on that. So when you said enjoy yourself, that just, I just thought about something. Let me piggyback on that.
Okay.
So when I was dating my now fiance, now we didn't start off like, hey, you want to be boyfriend and girlfriend? Obviously, we were friends first.
Right.
And we just, you know, liked each other's conversation and so forth. So in the midst of us pursuing one another, I, like I said, was one of those females, I'm not about to multitask. Like, if I really like someone, I'm going to put my all into them as far as, you know, just saying, hey, I'm talking to someone.
Right.
And so in the midst of that now, of course, guys, they're different. He had a few females that I didn't know about now. Now, I felt like I was the only girl in the world, like, the whole time until I just found out about someone. But I say all that to say, I was putting all my eggs in one basket, and I know you all probably have heard of that. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say put your eggs in too many, but I would say don't be so caught up in something working out to where you give your all. Once again, like I was saying before, you give your all to someone who's not giving their all to you. Because initially he wasn't. Now, like I said, he didn't make me feel any type of way. I wasn't disrespected or anything like that. But if I could go back, it's just like, oh, you were doing you. Like, what was I doing? Like, you know, but thank God, you know, everything worked out how it did. And I'm blessed because he's a wonderful, wonderful man. Like, I wouldn't, you know, I couldn't have asked for anyone better. So it just worked out. But I would definitely encourage my sisters out here to enjoy yourself. Like, don't, like, I could have, you know, you have guys that want to just, like, take you out for a drink, and you could just be their friend. But the type of girl I was turning down everything. Like, you could tell me anything. I was like, I'm talking to such a friend. Like, girl, he probably took your friend, not your friend, out on a date. Like, you know. So.
Oh, wow. No, that's good, though. That's some good advice, too. To be able to share, like, don't do it unless you know it's exclusive, you know, because if we're not exclusive yet, then, hey, it's up in the air.
Well now.
Right. Right. And I wanted to ask, too, as a single, did you find yourself comparing, you know, a lot of different men to your father when you chose to date him?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Well, no, I'll say no. I'll say no because my relationship with my dad wasn't the greatest in my young adult years.
Okay.
Like rearing in my 20s.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, I was like, you know, I don't want nobody like him.
Right.
However,
that's real.
there are definitely good qualities about my dad that I eventually did start looking at within guys. And so I'll say I didn't start off that way, but eventually I did say, okay, well, hey, do they do this? Like, there are definitely certain things that my dad taught me as a female, like, you don't accept this from a guy, and guys are supposed to do this, you know, just simple things. And I'll say when me and my fiance started getting serious and we were exclusive, it was so crazy. My dad was in a wheelchair, by the way, so a lot of things that, you know, you're taught as a female with the dad in the house, you know, you're taught not to take out the trash, for instance, or not to do certain things that is a man's job. Well, I didn't have the pleasure of that because my dad was in a wheelchair, so I didn't mind, and I would do some of those tasks. And so when I got with my now fiance, he was like, "Girl, what you doing?" Like,
right. Wait a minute.
I got this. Like, I'm saying, like, I even offered one time. I was like, "You know what would be so cool if you let me cut the grass?" He was like, "You would never cut the grass."
Right.
You would he was just like, that's my job. Like, let me do that. Let me take care of you on that too. Like, you want to go cook some, you can do that.
Right.
So, like little stuff like that, I started paying attention to, and I appreciate it. And whoever I was talking to at the time, and my now fiance. And then it was another part where I got to the point where I realized that he was way more like my dad than I even, wanted him to be to begin with. Like, he's so organized. He's like, more of a clean person, whereas I'm like disorganized. So it just became a situation where I was like, dang, he kind of does remind me of my dad. So.
Wow, that's pretty neat. So how did you know that he was the one, Amber?
It was a point in time where, for one, he was super supportive of me throughout our dating. Let me say, for one, he was with me when I lost my dad, and that was a challenging time, obviously. But I think it was more so like he always pushed me out of my comfort zone. So it was like, without it being a situation where it's like, oh. Like, you as a female, that you got the juice. Like, okay, I'm popping. But it's another to be willing to listen to your guy. He say, hey, you slipping on this? Or, maybe you should pay attention to this. Like, he wasn't so much comfortable with just accepting me for being this little popping little thing. It was more like, hey, I want to make you better. And he was willing to accept me or allow me to help him become a better person as well. There was a lot that took place between the two of us before we got to that point. But for sure, I'll say, I'm sorry, he's standing right here. He's making me nervous.
Oh, my. Tell him, don't mess up this interview now. Look.
I know. But, definitely, I just realized that he showed me daily, like, over and over. And even still, like, he has this surprise trip for me set up for tomorrow, this weekend. He showed me over and over that I meant something to him. And, like I said, even when we weren't exclusive, he made me feel like the only girl in the world, like the only girl in the room. He took pride in how he treated me. It's just like those little things that mattered to me that collectively was like, I was just like, he's the one.
Yeah.
Like the way he talked about me to others, it was just indescribable. Like, even now, like, I'm sitting over here blushing thinking about how everyone else is just like, girl, like, yo, man, he just adores me. And he's also been so, like, accepting of, like, my faults where I grew up where my dad, he kind of made me feel like I always had to be perfect. And so, naturally, I had a lot of, I was not so confident within myself, and the fact that he like built my confidence. Typically you hear about man either tearing your confidence down or just accepting you for being a little insecure so it can boost him. But in this case, like, he was my friend,
Wow, that's
and
cool.
you don't have that. I think that's rare for a guy to like pursue you so heavily as a friend. Like, he wants to know about you. He wants to know like what the weird things about you, and he think it's cool, like just little things. Like, I feel at home with him.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. That's good, and congratulations to you both once again. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we're going to segue into the topic as relates to college to corporate America. And Amber, I wanted to know, do you believe that your experience, I want to talk about first, like, share your experience about college.
Okay. So I left high school in 2008. Went to Jacksonville State University. I was going there to pursue a nursing degree. I don't know if y'all remember, I mentioned earlier my dad was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
He was sick most of my childhood with like various illnesses. And so naturally we were always at a hospital, at a doctor's appointment, like little things such as that. And so for me, I was always curious as to why am I feeling this way? Like I connect the dots. I'm very analytical when it comes to my health, and so for me that was like exciting. Now it became a point in time when I think I realized that because we were in the hospital so much throughout our childhood, it became something that I didn't want to be a part of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have a family later on in life and my whole day be about sick people. Like I just kind of at a certain point I felt like I can be my family's nurse. I can make sure my kids and my husband, they're healthy and that type of thing, but I didn't want to take on that field because I didn't feel at a certain point that it would make me happy daily. So like I said, I went there with the pursuit of nursing and business. I had to leave my second year going into my junior year because my school wanted to have my mom pay out of pocket. At that point in time, my two siblings one was at Birmingham Southern, pretty high school, high tuition, and the other was at the University of Alabama. So with both of them, with her paying out of pocket for them, I wasn't about to allow my mom to add me to the mix. And that's always been kind of like my attitude towards my mom, even as a child, just because I know it's like three siblings. She had my dad to take care of, so I always kind of took the role of how can I help? How can I make her day easier? So if I had to suffer, I would do that. Now, when I did that, initially I was like, this is going to be good. I can just go back home and work at the Birmingham Waterworks because I had did a high school program with them, so I knew that they would allow me to come back. But what it did was suck me into corporate America, and now that doesn't have to be a bad thing, but like I said, it wasn't my goal. My goal was still to finish school, and I still stand where I have a year and a half left, and that taught me another lesson to sometimes be selfish, because in that moment I was just being the old Amber and thinking about everybody else, and here I am 5 years later and I still don't have that degree. Now, given I have a great salary with the job that I do have, I'm making more than some people with degrees, but that just wasn't my desire or my goal at that point in time.
Right.
And so I can't say that it taught me anything about corporate America in the sense of finishing with a degree, but I can say it taught me some life lessons to know that you don't always need a degree for corporate America. Especially now, a lot of times jobs they're looking for experience.
Right.
Or, you can get a certification versus a degree. So that's something I've also thought about, like with high schools. I think high schools should start junior year teaching students that there's more to life than just a degree. Like
right.
There's more to life than the 4-year, 2-year. They can get a certification, or there's so much more out here as far as like getting to where you want to go. And now I'm in a position where my job will actually pay for me to go back to school. So it all worked out.
Right.
I was deterred at one point because all of my classmates, all of the people that I graduated high school with in 2008 were graduating in 2012 and 2013, and that's actually when my dad got sick again, and then he died in 2014 when I actually was enrolled back in school, so I had to cancel that semester. So it was just always something. And so, like I said, I've had the pleasure of kind of putting my foot in certain areas of different careers. So now I want to go back and get a degree in business marketing. So it's like I could be sad that, hey, I didn't graduate when I wanted to. Or I could look at the glass half full and say, hey, well, I was going for nursing. I wouldn't have been happy in that field. Thank God I had the time to be off to actually, think about what it is I really wanted to do and what I would be happy doing daily. So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's a different path.
Yeah, I love it though, because it's like you said, there's different paths, and that's even a message too, with our young people, like you were saying, it's starting even as a junior in high school where there are other opportunities. It's not the traditional way anymore, and keep your options open. Like, look for what will suit you best. What is something you want to do, and just like you said, it's okay in those instances to be selfish when it comes to what you're going to do in life. I mean, why can't you say, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to choose that for me. I don't think that's wrong, and not for somebody else because they want you to go into this or that or whatever the case may be. So,
and that's okay. Like, you have to learn, like, I think, especially females, because we're always giving.
Oh, yes.
I think it's
people
so
pleasing.
Yeah, like, and a lot of women find their identity within giving. And I think
good.
I was almost becoming that. I'm not going to say it fully, but like I said, because my motivation was to lighten my mom's load. But in turn, I was robbing myself of so much, along the way. And so, yeah.
No, that's good. I just, even when you just said that about, define, like a lot of women, they find, who they are in giving. And but you lose it. It's like you think you're finding yourself, or you define yourself that way, but in a way, just make sure you're not losing. Make sure you balance it out. So that's a good way. Good for you. That's good. Awesome. Well, we're going to segue into the topic as it relates to mother-daughter bonds, and it is definitely a series of questions that I'd like for you to answer. It encourages conversations between mothers and daughters, and it's a good way for our audience to get to know you even more. So, are you ready?
I am.
Awesome. So, what has your mother taught you about yourself?
She has taught me that when I want something, I go for it. I don't, back down from what I want. She's taught me that I'm definitely opinionated when it comes to just like speaking my piece on something being right or, fair. Like, Amber DuPree is going to speak up. Like, she ain't going to let that slide. She's also, our relationship, we have those good points, and then we have some bad points. So,
okay.
I'm trying to think of a general basis for both, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
She's taught me to, in a sense, she's taught me how to know what I'm worth, but in a flip way. Not because she was always so confident.
Okay.
But more so because I've seen her go through the phases where she wasn't. I've seen her go through the phases where growing up as a little girl, my mom was everything. She was in college, she graduated honors in Birmingham Southern with 3 kids. Like, she was taking care of my dad. She was the breadwinner. Like, you can tell me I couldn't be whatever I wanted to be, know.
Right.
So she didn't put limitations on what it is we chose or what it is we care to do. However, because of my mom and dad's relationship, I saw her confidence kind of wither away with so much time. And I'm not going to say that's all his fault, but, just you see certain relationships sometimes and you watch them over the years and you either see someone grow or, something within them being taken away as far as you know, what they used to be or who they used to be. So I'll stick to those few. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. Beautiful. Well, what book most influenced you?
Now this is gonna sound so cliche, but the Bible.
Okay.
Now I love me some fiction. I love me some what's that author? Jane girl. Can't think of her name. I love me some self-improvement books.
Okay.
Not any particular ones, but I really love. I have a few books on like the self-improvement. But I'll say that I'm saying the Bible because I remember as a kid like being so eager to like read the Bible and understand everything, and you know, like me and my siblings, we had like a contest one summer where it's like whoever read it first like won all these prizes. Like,
oh wow,
made it fun. And throughout my life, like I've seen so much with just my dad's health, whether it was that or when my mom, like I said, she was the breadwinner when she lost her job. Meanwhile, she's supporting all 5 of us. Like I've seen God work.
Yeah.
I remember not even 2 years ago, I went in for a physical and found out like my test came back and it was just all this. My hormones were out of whack. They were like, yeah, your liver levels are high. Like it was just crazy. My testosterone, like all this stuff out of whack. And the doctor came back. She was like, well, I think you may have Wilson's disease. At that point in time, I didn't know what that was. It was basically your liver doesn't filter out the toxins, so forth. And like reading it, of course, I went to Google first.
Right.
And basically felt like I was gonna die. You know,
Google it.
Like, I was like Google, but you know, it was like you know you have problems having kids. Like it kind of just took everything I've ever dreamt of as a woman away from me with that quick. And I always have to like reference back to the Bible, like, no, God said, you know, you have to quote back those scriptures. You got to tell God, like, you said this, like, you know, this is what you told me, like, this is your promise, and you have to, you know, have faith and stand on His word, because if that's what He said He's gonna do, He's gonna do it. Like, it might not be in your timing, but He's gonna do it when it's the perfect timing. And like I said, I've seen, like, I have my times when I, you know, slip off or fall off, but I'm always reminded. He always come back and be like, don't forget.
I know, right? Oh, wow.
So
that's what's up. Good. Well, good. Well, what question do you wish more people would ask you?
Ask me in general, or you just...
Yes.
Okay, maybe how I feel that I can influence younger women, how I feel maybe I found how did you find yourself, how do you feel your childhood maybe affected who you are today? I think I'm saying all of that basically I feel like so many people, they go through the motions of finding who they are, you know, whether it's some sooner than later, but I feel like it's important to talk about it and kind of like discuss it with people on the sense of, you know, you still have to get maybe a second opinion or just, hey, what's your perception of this or that? And just like when you go through things that do shape you and shape the way you think or the way you act or, you know, the way you move going forward in life, sometimes it's not the way you've taken it, the way you perceived it isn't the direction that you need to go in as far as other experiences. And I feel like it's important for you to kind of like talk it out with other people, but you don't typically find people just wanting to share, you know, the intimate details or the crazy details or whatever, you know, about their life that help them get to where they are or that made them who they are.
Right. Well, if I could ask you that, how did you find yourself?
I think I am still finding myself.
Okay.
I'm definitely getting more comfortable and confident within myself.
Mm-hmm.
I, as a kid, like I said, I identified myself as that child that, like I said, helped my mom and helped my dad. I wanted the recognition from them growing up. So, well, thank you, Amber. I wanted the appreciation more so. Like I said, my dad was in the hospital a lot, so when he was home, I went through a phase where he was angry all the time, and he never, physically harmed me or anything like that, but I think it was more of an emotional breakdown to where I had to, I had to build my confidence daily. And looking back, now that he has passed, I see everything full circle, and I wish I would have been wiser to pray for him more instead of be so. I was so angry, I became him,
Wow.
I was angry because I wanted my family to see that I was hurting, or to notice me for what it was. I felt like I sacrificed. I had to watch my siblings, they would be involved in all these sports, and whereas I, instead of being involved in so many sports, I would be like, well, Mom, it's okay. You don't have to pay for me to do this. But I wanted to play. Life was passing by, and here I am in high school, and I've only played one sport 1 year. There was never any consistency with me on what it is I wanted to do. So when it came to my dreams as a young woman, I didn't know how to go through with them.
Wow.
I didn't know how to feel that fire within me. I didn't know how to, feel my thoughts. I just didn't have that confidence. I didn't feel like that was my path. And meanwhile, like I said, I was watching my siblings do everything and some of what they wanted to do. And my parents, going above and beyond for them. And it's just kind of at this point, they looking at you like, girl, you grown now. It's too late for the support you maybe wanted. But within that time, like I said, with that, and like I was saying earlier about college, and I ended up, not feeling so bad about that. Now I'm so unapologetic. I'm okay, no, I didn't graduate yet. Yes, I'm working here. I'm doing the, you just have to own who you are.
Yeah.
And, know that there are people that look up to you. There are people who look at you and think that you're beautiful. There are people who know that you have a good heart. The people who need to notice you. Basically.
That's good.
You don't ever have to go searching for someone to see you. Whoever you need in your life to get to that next chapter, God places them in your life. And that's why you have to be so, tuned in to who is in your life for certain seasons, because they're there for a reason. It's just important for you to remind yourself to always learn, always, be receptive of what it is you're going through and why. And so, like I said, with all that, over the years, now it's okay, I know Amber won't tolerate this. Amber actually likes being by herself sometimes. Amber, it's just little things like that. It gives me pride to say that I know that about myself.
That's beautiful. All right, now you dropping some gems for real. Okay. That's good. That's good. Well, what is the last thing that you binge watched?
Binge watch. I watched this show, Shooter, on Netflix.
Okay.
I love the action and drama of TV.
Okay. All right. Well, good job.
Yeah.
What is something every woman should try once in her lifetime?
Wow, that's a good question. I feel like I'm still in phases where I'm like, what should I try?
Well, what is something that you would want to try? at least once, or that you have already, and you're like, some other woman needs to enjoy this?
See, now, I've tried things that I feel like there's people in general could try, like I went skydiving or something like that. But when you ask that question, I'm trying to think of something geared towards a woman.
Yeah.
And in my head, right now, it's like my mind is blank.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to that one.
Okay.
What is a goal you want to achieve in the next 10 years?
I want to have my own business.
Okay. What kind of business?
I love fashion. I love everything about it, like from the shoes to the way you tie your outfit in together. Growing up, we always had to, like, you know, find the best deal. So, like, I'm like frugal queen. Like, if I can find me a deal, I'll put something together. And people be like thinking I pay so much money for what I have on. I'm like, girl, this is $5 at Plato's Closet, or I went to the thrift store and looked up on these shoes. You know, just certain stuff. Like, I want to show people how to put stuff together and not spend so much money, and just like your overall confidence and how much it matters for the look that you're going for. Okay,
so here is the mentor life coach in me. What are you doing? What steps are you taking to get there?
So I'm working on getting me a MacBook, because that's what's recommended for doing YouTube blogging. And what I want to do is set up a site. I got my business blueprint for selling hair. Haven't decided if I'm going to do that in conjunction with this.
Okay.
But basically, I want to set up a site where it's like you have one, have all these different tabs. Like, one will be like a blog, like, you know, just in relation, like telling, you know, girl time, like, let's talk, you know. One will be about beauty, like just about your, let's say your face, your makeup, for instance, like what's the hottest products, like reviews on products. And then I'll have shoes, and then the other one will be like a boutique where I'll actually be selling items, you know, for all different types of women and showing them how they can pair it with different things. And I want to start it off by doing YouTube reviews for certain companies. I've already gotten, like, the blueprint, like I said, for the hair, for the clothes, and the site. I know how I want it. And so I think if I can start doing the YouTube reviews, that'll pull in companies that'll actually request me to do them. And that way my follower base will go up, and my blog or site won't just be in vain. Like, I can actually have a basis to follow it and, you know, grow from there.
Okay. Well, part of my reason for you even putting it, I guess, like putting it out there, is because sometimes you have to say it, you know, and get it out there and really even see and kind of talk yourself through what the next step would be. So I'm going to hold you accountable to that, and I will follow up with you.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Awesome. Okay. Well, where would you like to visit, and if you could go anywhere?
Africa, easily.
Okay.
I have always been intrigued with just like the motherland. I'm like, I almost requested that for our honeymoon, but then I was like, okay, I'll be, you know, we can go somewhere tropical, but yeah, Africa, I just feel like I would love to experience such a humble, I feel like that you would leave there and you would be like, you know, so humble. You know, I feel like, you know, typically they show like horrible places in Africa, but I know there's like beautiful like exhibits and just beautiful places there, as well as like just the natural element, like the animals, all the way down to like not being so dressed up.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel like I would love that experience.
Perfect. And I am hearing some feedback. Do you hear it? It's like an echo, let me say that, of my voice.
Hold on, it's probably the car.
Okay.
it better now?
Let me see. Yes. Yes, it is. I was like, is there an echo like going on? But yeah. But okay. What superpower would you like to have?
Superpower to I would have the superpower of like knowledge.
Okay.
Like I feel like if I can know everything, I could be rich as I wanted to be. I could be as fruitful as I want. Like I could do anything because knowledge is power.
Okay. And so we're going to go back to that. Have you thought about what every woman should try once in her lifetime?
No, I almost want to ask you. I know that's not the.
How you gonna ask? Oh wow! Well, I mean, what would I say? You know what? I would. I heard something, and I'm gonna borrow this from another guest. But she said that basically being willing to say no unapologetically. Like if you're used to, say, there are some people who they always expect for you to say yes, or they know, maybe because of the respect that you have for them, or that's normally that's your answer. Let me say that your answer is normally yes. And so she was saying be able to say no unapologetically, like not because you have something else to do. It's just like, no, I won't be able to do that.
You don't want to do it.
Yeah. Right. I thought I said, well, okay.
I went through that in my life, and when I got to the point where I just knew, like, I didn't want to do it, so I'm going to say no. Man, was that freeing. Like, I can express enough how it's just like, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. Because if it's going to cost you more stress for one than it does helping someone, first of all, it's just no. Like...
Yeah, and be okay with it. And I thought that was a very good answer. I said, wow, that's a good thing. And I mean, others have been skydiving or like try red lipstick if you haven't tried it. So it's been some fun answers with that question. So yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I would say like don't be afraid of the phases and phases that you go through in life or as a woman, because you go through so many, and just to embrace them all. And kind of like stay focused on the woman that you want to become. Because, you like I said, you go through so many where you aren't as confident as you need to be or want to be. And, just staying true to who you are. Like, if you can stay true to what the woman you want to become, then peer pressure won't get you, where it could if you really weren't so sure, or that guy, that girl, or that situation wouldn't deter you from trying again, or so just being confident in knowing who you are and who you want to be.
Good stuff. Awesome. Okay, well, we're going to move into the topic of community service, and so I wanted you to share, ways that you're giving back to the community.
Okay, so I'm on the I work, like I said, at the Birmingham Waterworks. I'm a part of the H2O Foundation, where we do certain charities to collect for the elderly and the disabled, and basically they have problems paying their water bills. We have a fund where we allocate it to that. I've done homeless missions where I fed the homeless. I was a part of a mentor program that actually, it kind of just, I don't know, didn't grow to its fruition, sadly. But like I said, any interaction that I have with females, I try to, give within that moment, like take something from that moment. I don't think you can ever not learn from anyone or any situation, no matter how young or how much older they are. So any situation that I'm able to give, I feel like I'm doing something. And as far as just overall charity outside of helping with self growth and that for young women, I forgot the name of the group that I did. I did some group in high school. We would go to the homes for the elderly, and
Like the retirement homes or like kind of
yes,
the senior living type spaces?
yes.
Uh-huh.
And we would, just sit there with them, talk with them, like, where they wanted to get their nails done, like nails painted, like get them their food, and that in itself, like, you just realize such a difference it made in, like, their personalities, their attitudes, just to have someone that cared. Because a lot of times they get to that age and their family doesn't care. And, but I've always had, like, a soft place in my heart for feeding the homeless, just because my dad, he brought us up to where we would, like, literally go to shelters every year. And around the holidays at that, like, we would feed the homeless. And so he taught us, to be humble, and you never know what people are going through or where they've been. And, just to always be willing to give back to someone,
Okay. Awesome. We're going to move into our faith segment, and it definitely is an opportunity for our guests to encourage our audience. And so if you could share a time when your faith was tested and how you came through it.
Okay. I'm going to say for sure, I have a few situations. Some were involved in my family, but if I were to just speak of one person with myself, I would go back to 2 years ago when I found out all my hormones were out of whack. Like, the lady literally came back and diagnosed me with 3 things. She told me that I was pre-diabetic. It was just all this stuff that was, like, dropped on my lap. And like I said, for a whole 6 months to 7 months, I was going getting genetic testing. I was going to the doctors at UAB. Like, I was going to so many doctors because no one knew what was wrong with me. Like, it stemmed from me. I passed out a couple of times, and I would black out shortly, but it wasn't a seizure. Like, there was no link to it. And so that's why I went and got the physical. And so, mind you, while they're telling me I might have these diseases, I'm scared that, I could pass out, or if I am dying of something, like I thought when I Googled that, disease, how much time, like, I was just going through it. Like, I wasn't trying to hear people be like, oh, it's okay, or, you don't have to be afraid. Like, I was afraid. I didn't know what to do. I knew I needed to pray and have faith, but it was the hardest thing. Like, I always saw something that reminded me, whether it was like a commercial talking about medicine. It was just so much in my face. And at that point in time, I was obviously in a relationship with my now fiance, and so we would have talked about, how we want to have kids one day. And I'm in the back of my head thinking, well, if I can have kids,
Yeah.
So a lot was going through my mind on the strength of just me, what I felt like I could give the world as a woman. Like, I was just kind of like, if I can't have kids, I think that would break me. Like, I was determining what I wasn't going to make it through from jump. Like, I wasn't allowing God to hear my cry or voicing my opinion on, hey, these are my concerns. Like, calm my fears. Like, I was diving into what I Googled. I was diving into what I thought. I was letting the devil take over. And given I went half a year, almost a whole year, not knowing what was wrong with me, but when I found out that I didn't have Wilson's disease and it was just something off about my hormones that they could eventually, get back to normal, I was like, just so grateful. Like, you couldn't have told me, you couldn't say anything to me bad and I not feel like, oh, I'll make it through. Like, at that point, it was just kind of like, whatever, this is today. It may be bad today, but we're going to be all right next week, like, it just taught me to endure the process because, like I said, that was almost a year. Like, you go a day or two, you already be, you go crazy not knowing, what the situation may be. So I guess the unknown in that situation was just killing me. And so I wasn't always most faithful. I actually was kind of ashamed after, finding out what it actually turned out to be.
Mm-hmm.
I was ashamed just because I was like, how dare I not have believed that he was going to bring me through?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, you won't be the first nor the last, and
right.
where it sometimes you do have to cry out, Lord help my unbelief, and there are just those times, and then you get focused and you stand on the word.
Right.
Until or there are times when you have to have somebody else pray you through it. It's maybe
Right.
times you don't feel like praying, and that's just real. And anybody who acts like there aren't times when they don't, or they don't know what to pray or whatever, they're lying. So,
Right.
but it does help to strengthen your faith, and just for you to be able to talk about it and share, that says a lot. So, I encourage you to continue to do that, for others, because they do need to hear that not only, were you there, and yes, you experienced some unbelief, you didn't know, and it was an unknown moment, but you
Right.
are on the other side of it, and you're able to look back and see what you need to do as you move forward, as it relates to your faith. So that works for me.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so we're going to move into our closing segment. It's called Matters of the Heart Moment. And the first question is, if you had the opportunity to speak to your 4-year-old self, what would you say to her?
I would say go for it. When I say that, like I spoke several times before, I grew up as a kid thinking about my siblings. Like, I was so conscious of how to help and put myself on the back burner and my desires on the back burner. And so I didn't get to experience certain activities I wanted to partake in, or like I always heard, oh, you should model, you should, you're so pretty, this, that, and the third. Everything, that takes experience, and that, you're better off starting when you're young. Well, I always had like, oh, well, Amber, we'll do this, maybe we'll do that, but we ain't got the money this time. And so I would say, when I say go for it, I would say, find other ways to get to what you want. Like, don't give up. Don't give in to what it is you're dealing with now, because it's going to be okay. If you, don't make it now, then it's not meant right now, but don't give up.
Perfect. Who motivates you?
My sister. She is so confident. I know she probably has, things that she's not so confident about, but she has taught me to be way more confident and way more fearless when it comes to just things that I want.
Yeah.
And just teaching me that, everything is okay. Like, if everything isn't okay now, then it will be, like, reassurance. She's always been, like, my reassurance. And so, yeah, I would say her, like, she graduated from UA recently, and she's in the program in Dallas. And, like, maybe back in the day, but, like, the fact that she just got up and moved, away from all her family.
Right.
Like, she's so fearless, and, like, I admire that about her so much. And I don't know if I tell her that enough, but I definitely look up to her.
That's good. That's beautiful. Well, what is the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
I have so many people give me wise advice. Don't back down. don't back down from what it is that you want. And I know that's kind of like pretty much along the lines of what I was just saying. But like I said, that's really one of the pieces of advice that I would tell a little girl over and over. Like, you know, you just have so many things, like so many ways you can go in life and so many things you can go after. But I would just say, like, the sky isn't the limit. Like, you can go wherever you want to go. You can be whoever you want to be. Like, don't put limits on yourself when it comes to what you want.
Okay. Well, is there any last minute comment you'd like to share?
I just want all of my beautiful sisters to love yourself first. Pay attention to what you need first, and then give to the people around you. Give to those relationships, and don't forget that the people that are in your life are there for a reason. And learn from them why you have them in your life, and appreciate them, and tell them that you appreciate them. Don't take your friends and family for granted, and just do you.
Awesome. Well, Amber, we want to thank you so much for, being with us and for just sharing a piece of your world.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was an honor, and I obviously love you and what your foundation is all about. So it was my pleasure to be a part of your podcast.
Perfect. And I love you too. Thank you again. Awesome. Well, our goal at the Flora Pearl Foundation is to always be a blessing to all of those that we come in contact with by operating with the spirit of excellence. We want to thank you all so much for listening today. And you can visit our website at www.florapearlfoundation.org. We look forward to spending time with you all each week, and we will talk to you soon.